Rules in action. Rules that keep things going smoothly and fairly. Rules that help us get where we're going. Help us work together, play together, and live together. Of course, in small groups, we sometimes get along without rules.
But there aren't any loud noises, just the sounds of working. We call these work sounds. Listen.
When many of us play together, rules make the game. Rules help us play fair with each other, so all can enjoy the game. Rules that apply equally to all. It's up to each one of us to know the rules and follow them.
Why do you suppose this room is so quiet? Perhaps we can learn from the teacher.
At New York's Madison Square Garden, a city college quintet faces five fast and fancy wet boots from the University of Oregon. It's the opening contest of an intersectional doubleheader, and New York draws 2 points worth of first blood.
And you know, we have found that knowing when to be quiet is a part of growing up.
16,000 fans watch the boys from the Pacific Coast as they try to stem the onslaught of City College fever. But it's all over when Silverstein shoots off the hardwood, vacates the ball, and the ball game for CCNY 38-36.
Because a quiet room helps all of us learn.
How do you do it?
Well, each of us knows how to work quietly. That's very important.
But the evening sport is a long way from the locker room. In the second game, a team of Northwestern Wildcats is matched against St. John's University of Brooklyn. The lads from Illinois are off to a springboard start when Bob Coble eases the Allen into the basket to take the lead.
Do you think you could walk this quietly? Listen to this work sound.
But tribal warfare comes to the gymnasium as the St. John's Indians retaliate with 2 points. From now on, the game is touch and go, with 10 men helping to get it there. A beautiful display of teamwork, and Northwestern gets in the number column with sharp shooting Bob Coble doing the honors.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Learn the Game, where you find out if you got an F for effort. Now, it looks like, and for all of you that can't tell, I have commandeered Learn the Game Lights Out Debates, because it seems that Travis has not made a video in months. And he, unlike me, to my understanding, is not going on camping trips every month. Anyway. Before we get into this, welcome, Rex. How are you today, sir?
All right. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to all.
Day of recovery from Thanksgiving.
Yes. I was trying to think of a Thanksgiving-themed basketball topic. Really couldn't come up with one immediately, but I'm sure there is some. What's a Thanksgiving story, Rex? I'm sure you know. I know we didn't have this conversation, but what's a basketball Thanksgiving story?
Basketball Thanksgiving story. For like the basketball history or my personal experience?
Well, I guess either. I was more so basketball history, but yeah.
I believe, I'm not sure. I might be confusing it with Christmas, but I believe Bernard King had a Thanksgiving Day game that was outrageous one year.
No worries.
I may be thinking of Christmas though, but no. For me, when I was a teenager, my home court, the one closest to my house that I frequented most often, that I put in hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of practice on. On Thanksgiving one year, it ended up being like unseasonably warm. It was like 80 something degrees and sunny and beautiful. And the college guys were home. All the guys from the area, retired pros, top female players, everyone congregated to this one court on Thanksgiving. And I thought, it's Thanksgiving, I'm going to go up to the court and I'm going to get in a bunch of practice. No one else is going to be there. And I get up to the court, and David Robinson's there. Tom Worstel, who is a Hall of Fame lacrosse player who played basketball at Maryland after Bias died, he was there. He could have been a pro basketball player, but his whole family is in the Lacrosse Hall of Fame. He was going lacrosse. The Kessner twins were there, who were the starting backcourt at a local high school that then went on to, I believe they became the backcourt at Middle Tennessee State, and then went out to Hollywood, and they both ended up making all kinds of money in movies and television shows. They were there that day. Don Collins was there, who had played for the Milwaukee Bucks and the Washington Bullets. He had just retired. He was there. Medina Dixon, who was an Olympic gold medalist on the 84 women's team in the center for Old Dominion University when they won the 84 national championship. She was there. All these people, all these great players were all there at the court when I got up there, and I just spent all day playing with sometimes and watching mostly. All of those people go at it. Corky Sims was there, who had won a NAIA national championship, and he was the first. You always hear people talk about 4-foot vertical leaps. He's the first guy I ever saw that actually had a 4-foot vertical leap. And watching him and David Robinson go at it was crazy, because he was only 6'1", but he had a 4-foot vertical leap, and he was a bodybuilder. So he was just thick, huge. There was a guy there. I cannot remember his name right now. And I'm so sorry, because he really helped me a lot when I was developing. But he was a guy that was a great athlete, that he was a linebacker at Virginia Tech, and he played for the Denver Broncos for a year or two. He was up there. I mean, there's just all the talent from the area. High school player of the year for the state, Eugene Baltimore, he was up there. Everyone was there at that court that day, and it was Thanksgiving. And I thought I was going to be alone. I didn't think anyone else was going to come play on the holiday. And it ended up being literally people all the way around the court. If you weren't inside the fence, you couldn't even see the game, because people were lining all the way around. It was crazy.
Only if there was turkey there, that'd be a better basketball story. But
yeah, there were other things there that were being consumed.
Yeah, I'm sure. With that said, what makes a great basketball player? Let me start off from my perspective, but I know that you are the resident, former overseas pro basketball player, and way more knowledgeable about all things involving basketball than myself. I think what makes a great basketball player is somebody who's got determination, tenacity, somebody who has a passion and the will to do great things in the game, starting from themselves, and then having a great perspective about how a team operates and how to win as a team, not just as an individual, but how you can individually get a team to win, and doing what it takes to get there. What makes a great basketball player to you? I know this is really an open-ended question, but But yeah,
Well, this is the beauty. When you first proposed this question, I didn't exactly understand which way you were going to go with it. Of course, it was like 3 a.m. my time, so I couldn't really wrap my head around it. Then when we just started talking about it before we came on, it made much more sense. And this is probably the show I've always wanted to have, because so many fans are completely oblivious as to what makes a great player. They only look at the star player on the winning teams, the guys that are winning trophies, as their great players, and that's it. And it's like, nah, they don't understand. Basketball, more than any other sport, is the ultimate game for a myriad of reasons. Number one is its flexibility. You can play 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 5-on-5. The first ever basketball game was 9-on-9. You can play an actual game, with quarters. You can play with halves. You can just play to 16, play to 11, win by 2. You can play make it, take it. You can play half court. You can play full court. You can have 3-point shooting contests. You can play horse. You can have dunk contests. You can have free throw shooting contests. There are so many different variations of the game, more so than any other game. You can play it at any level. Little 8-year-olds can play, with the right equipment. Women play, men play. Handicap leagues exist. It's an Olympic sport, amateur sport, high school sport, little kid sport, AAU sport, World Cup sport, professional league sport. It's all over, every which way. But at the same time, it is very individual, yet 100% team oriented. You can be the greatest individual player of all time and place in there whatever name you want to: Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Wilt, Russell, whoever. They did not win, any of them, until they had a competent team and coach put around them with competent management. When you win a championship, it is not just a player. It's not even just the players. The team that wins the championship is the team that every member of the organization excels from day one to the final buzzer. That means the secretaries, the trainers, the nutritionists, literally, if you ever played and you ever went through it, the janitors all have a huge role to play to getting to a championship. Every player on the team, if you get a player that's on a 10-day contract in March and then he's gone and you end up winning, well, the greatest thing that 10-day player did was he did not screw up the chemistry. He kept things moving forward, and he kept the seat hot for the injured player that ended up coming back to take his roster spot. And you know what I mean? Everyone has to be involved and be at their best and exceptional that season, or it doesn't work.
Yeah, when I think of it too, is that I 100% agree. But one phrase that I hear all the time, which it grinds my gears all the time, is that I did it by myself. No, you didn't. You had, in some capacity, whether it's you've gained some sort of determination to do something, even from a negative thing, let alone just the people that are guiding you or coaching you or mentoring you to get to wherever you are. And I'm talking about bigger than basketball, but I think this is the same with basketball, is that nobody ever does it by themselves. You've either read a book that somebody's done the work to get a better perspective on things. You had a coach that taught you how to do this, that, or the other thing, or you had a mentor to guide you through certain aspects of how to approach things versus telling you how to actually do the thing. So, but I think holistically with anything in life, let alone with basketball, you've got to be a team player or you're going to fail eventually. But I think that, you know, if you believe and you act like you are the only link in the chain, it's not conducive for success in whatever facet. But within basketball particularly, you see a lot of these guys that can, and again, I don't want to pretend like I understand the ins and outs of pro basketball. I just have an idea of being a good team player or a leader per se. You got these guys, and from the outside looking in, not knowing the details, it seems like a lot of these guys are prima donnas, and potentially, again, not knowing the inside scoop, is that some of those things can affect how the team wins. Being a Philadelphia 76ers fan, I'm not emotionally mature enough to continue being a fan as actively as I've been in the past, because we continue to fail, and that's just how I was raised for mentorship and as a Philadelphia fan. But
yeah, how many all-time greats, individual all-time greats, have played for Philadelphia?
Oh, you got Allen Iverson, you got Dr. J, you got Moses Malone. If you want to talk about the Nationals, you got Dolph Chase. To bring it back a little bit, you got Wilt Chamberlain, Billy Cunningham, Hal Greer, et cetera, Charles Barkley.
Mo Cheeks, who retired as the all-time leader in steals, and I believe he was like third or fourth in assists when he retired. I mean, the list, you know, on and on and on and on and on, right?
Yeah.
But 2 championships ever.
And we got Joel Embiid right now, who I'm most specifically talking about for my emotional immaturity to
well,
continue.
there was actually an incorrect stat I saw on YouTube the other day. Somebody posted James Harden is the only player in NBA history to hold the scoring record for 2 separate teams, and that's ridiculous because Wilt held it for 50 years. Had that. It wasn't until Joel Embiid scored 71 that he broke Wilt Chamberlain's 76ers single-game scoring record. Up until Embiid scored 71, Wilt had the all-time scoring record for 2 teams. Not all-time, but the high game record for 2 separate teams. Obviously, the other being the Warriors. But individual. That's why when people talk about, look, no one argues for Wilt Chamberlain more than me. He's still the only player I ever saw in person that to this day, 52 years later or something like that, I'm still gobsmacked and I still remember it just like the night it happened. Seeing him live, it was a different thing. It was different. I remembered it all. My first game I ever went to, and I always expected, the first time I went to see Larry Bird, first time I went to see Magic Johnson, it wasn't the first time to see Jordan. I'd seen Jordan at playing college. But in the NBA, all these players, I always expected, first time I went to see Shaq, the only time I went to see Shaq, I always expected to get that same feeling again as when I saw Wilt right in front of me. Like literally, I was 4th row. He was right there, 12 feet away from me, standing right there. And it's never happened. With all the people I've played with on the court, all the players I've watched live, out on the playground, in actual games, sitting in the stands, nothing's ever come close than just seeing Wilt and like, oh my God. And just the presence of and everyone felt it. Everyone treated him that way. I mean, Jerry West was talking to him. You could see in Jerry West's eyes, and they're teammates. They see each other every day. West was like, Wilt would grab a rebound and throw an outlet, and his own teammates and the coaches and the fans and the refs and everyone's looking like, Jesus, he's just a totally different thing, man. But his individual dominance did not translate to instant team dominance, because that's how basketball is.
Just to bring it back for a second, with the I didn't have the privilege of seeing Michael Jordan play as a kid. I've only been to a handful of NBA games. I think I've been to 3 or 4 in my life. Never saw the face of the league per se. But I just wanted to make the comment that it seems like there were a handful of guys, to include Wilt, to include Michael Jordan, and you have a different vantage point than I do about it. But to see guys like that, I'm sure is probably the same with somebody like George Mikan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, potentially Magic Johnson. I know you're talking about Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, but again, you have a different vantage point than I did about it. It's more like looking at LeBron James for me, where it's still, fantastic player, but it's not your childhood. It's different when you have that perspective as a child to see the greatest basketball player in the world, however you want to put it. So, but I just want to say, whenever you bring up that story, I envy that you were able to experience that as a child, to see the greatest basketball player in the world at that time who had that aura.
And the thing is, I think more so what really molded my perspective of the game was 2 things as to what I consider to show greatness in the sport. Is growing up, I got to see all of my home teams win championships.
Yeah.
I didn't follow hockey at the time, and the Capitals were a dumpster fire, so they didn't win. But Georgetown Hoyas was my team. They won the national championship, went to 3. The Redskins, the Baltimore Orioles, even the local college, George Mason, won the national championship and the first ever college soccer national championship. And I was there. I got to see all of this excellence in sports. I ended up playing with, or going to school with, 3 1996 Olympic gold medalists. And of course, you didn't know this in the mid 80s, when we were actually in high school. They all did that later. But, I was just in the right place at the right time, where I got to see all of this stuff. I got to do basketball camps and talk to coaches that are in the Hall of Fame, just sitting down in the cafeteria at lunch and stuff like that. I taught free throws, if anyone's wondering. That's why I was there. You get to see it from every perspective. And when you see it from every perspective and you talk to coaches, high-level coaches, intelligent coaches that are like geniuses at the sport. They're like chess masters at basketball. And they all have different opinions. They have different coaching philosophies. They all have different styles. They're all different people. Some are real jerks. Some were very personable, very likable. Some, were older. Some were young, go-getters. But the one thing that I noticed is what every good coach looks for in every player. No one puts their team together saying, okay, we got our star. We need to get a rebounder. Okay. They're not plugging in pieces. It's not a Lego set. They're where the picture, on the front of the box is a picture of a championship team, and you open it up and you start putting the pieces together to plug in to make a championship team. It doesn't work like that. What you do is you take your core players that are there, whether they're there because they're returning starters from the year before, or when you get to higher levels, they're contractually obligated. You have some players because they're literally untradeable. Fans don't think about that. You've got, when you're building this team, you get your core. you keep your core together. They practice together. They work out together. They're in the gym together. They eat their lunches together. They sit on the planes, trains, and buses together. And you get your core, you get the character of your core. Then you find the weaknesses in your own core players, and you get bench players, which they're not called bench players, they're called complementary players, to then fill those holes. Right? And people talk about, like we had mentioned, Robert Horry. Robert Horry has 7 championships, and fans act like he's lucky to have 7 championships, because as fans don't understand how it works. Pretty much all fans, think it's like them going down and signing up for the rec league to play on a team. And your team, happens to be a good team that year, and you win the championship. And these are billion-dollar companies in a billion-dollar industry, and everyone playing is a millionaire. Okay? League minimum is $1 million a year. Okay? Nothing is put to chance. Absolutely, positively nothing. The reason Horry was on 7 championship teams was because Hall of Fame coaches and general managers looked at him and said, we need that guy. We can sign anyone. We're the San Antonio Spurs. We're the Los Angeles Lakers. We're the Houston Rockets. We can sign anybody. We need to sign that guy. That's who we need. That's how he ended up on those teams. Because he was a great enough winner and contributor. Everyone knew his character and his class, his demeanor in the locker room, and everyone wanted him on their team because they knew he led you towards winning.
Yep.
I mean, the guys that he played with, name off all of the great players he played with, he's the one on the team that got the nickname Big Shot Bob.
Yeah.
Okay? He got that nickname from the guys he played with.
Yep, and to bring it back a little bit, people that excuse that kind of greatness because it may not be as in your face as the typical star player, superstar player, all-time great. That is a level of greatness that is in demand. Somebody who has the clutch gene, or however you want to put it. If you're being called Big Shot Bob and you're wanting to be on all these teams and you provide results as a complimentary player, as you called them, how are you not a great player? How are you not somebody who should be lauded and appreciated for what you're able to bring to the table? And it's not to say that he wasn't, but to somebody who doesn't appreciate that greatness, he's not in a lot of ways. A lot of people will say, well, he will offhandedly say, well, he won 7 championships when they're trying to diminish Michael Jordan or somebody like that. But then they leave it at that, and they don't really talk about how great he was as a player, really.
Well, they have different roles, okay?
Yeah.
Jordan never had a chance to win more than 6, to be honest with you. Okay? Yeah. He had 6 opportunities where he was healthy, the team was healthy, the team was good enough and strong enough, mentally, physically, to get through the playoffs, get to a championship, and win it. He had 6 opportunities, and he won all 6 of them. He only had 6 opportunities because being a star player, a future great, and people act like he came out of nowhere. He didn't come out of nowhere. He was college player of the year, ACC player of the year, Olympian. Everyone, he was picked number 3 in the draft. Okay. He wasn't picked in the 2nd round like Willis Reed. Okay. He was number 3 in the draft. Everyone knew he was going to be great. They didn't know that great, but they knew great. Depending on team needs, he could have went number 1.
Yeah.
him and Sampson teaming up in Houston would have been great, but Houston already saw after Sampson's rookie year, he's not built to play center in the NBA. He's going to get broken. So we need to get, if we have an opportunity to get a center like Olajuwon, we need to get him, because Sampson's not going to be able to play the pivot for 10 years. He's not going to be able to. He's going to get broken in half. That was obvious from the start. So they went big. Portland, everyone makes up these excuses and calling, Portland like they were stupid or not. It was not. Portland literally had at Jordan's position 3 All-Stars. 3. Okay? 3 already at that position. They don't need 4.
Why not?
Yeah, they had Clyde Drexler, who was the future, and he proved to be. They had Jim Paxson, who was coming off first-team All-NBA. He was the best shooting guard in the league. First-team All-NBA shooting guard. You're not drafting a shooting guard, no matter who it is. Right? And then they also had Kiki Vandeweghe. They had just acquired Kiki Vandeweghe from Denver, I believe. So they had that position locked down already with 3 guys that were already all-star caliber players. 1 All-NBA. Yeah. So then it goes to Chicago. All right. But they're a rebuilding team. Everyone knows this. This is all, any Jordan fan, basketball fans knows this. They had to build a team. Once they had the team built, Jordan started winning.
Yeah.
And they ran it till the contractual obligations, the business side of basketball caught up to them. And that's when the streak ended, right? That's when the Bulls broke up. People think it was some personal thing with Jerry Krause. That's such a fanboy response. All right. Jerry Krause did not break up a 6-time champion because of personal reasons. Jerry Krause was an employee. He did what Reinsdorf wanted him to do. He did Reinsdorf's bidding. That's his job. He's the general manager. He does the business moves Reinsdorf, the owner, wanted done. And for business reasons, because of the lockout that was coming up, he didn't want to pay out $40-something million to the big 3 and then them not play and him still be obligated to pay them all that money. Instead, he put that money into the White Sox, which he also owned, and over the same 6-year buildup that he did with the Bulls, then won a World Series and had a second revenue stream and a second champion. It's money. That's what happened.
So to bring it back a little bit,
yeah.
What you talked about Wilt Chamberlain being a great player. So what makes the world's best basketball players so great? And how does guys like Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, these guys that are going to, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, how do these guys become looked at as the greatest of all time? What are the characteristics for those guys that make them so great?
Number 1 is genetic luck. That's
fair.
That's number 1. All right. When David was at Osborne Park High School, he was started at 6'4", was 6'6" by the end of the senior season. 6'6". At 6'6", David Robinson never plays a day in the NBA. Not a day. All right. He spurts to 7'1". Anthony Davis in high school, I believe was in Chicago, I think. I'm not certain. Somebody can check on this for me. But I believe he was listed as an honorable mention All-American as a point guard at 6'2".
Yeah.
Then he grows to 7 foot. Now he's probably going to edge into the Hall of Fame. by the time he's done. At least be mentioned.
I think he could probably get there. It depends, but anyway,
It's not the NBA
sidebar.
Hall of Fame. It's the Naismith Hall of Fame. And his college career and his USA career, it all plays into it. And he's not done yet.
Yep.
But, Dr. J was another one. Coming out of high school, I believe he was like a 5'11" guard. That's why he ended up going to Massachusetts and not UCLA or Kentucky or somewhere. He went to Massachusetts. He was 6'3" when he was an All-American in Massachusetts. When he signed his contract for the ABA, he was 6'3", 6'4". He was still growing. He ended up 6'7". Okay, if he was still 5'11", 6'3", he would have still been in the NBA, but he wouldn't have been Dr. J. Larry Bird is another one, huge growth spurt. Michael Jordan, no one else in his family is over 5'8".
Yep.
And he ends up 6'6".
So we got the genetic. Yeah. What's up?
Number one is genetics. If you don't have the genetics, you're not going to be there. And for everyone that wants to sit here and bring up Spud Webb or Muggsy Bogues. Okay, Spud Webb had a 41-inch vertical leap and like a 4.40. Okay, he's an elite athlete. He had genetics, just not height. When you talk about Muggsy Bogues was one of the strongest players. I actually played against him once, and he was a rock. He was an absolute, and he could actually jump as high or higher than Spud Webb. But what people fail to realize, they always put them together. He was still 3 inches shorter than Spud Webb, 4 inches shorter.
Yeah.
But he actually could jump higher than Spud Webb. But he couldn't palm the ball. But he was a rock. I mean, he was literally like a bodybuilder. He was just thick, muscle, solid. When he would hit you, you'd try to pick that little guy, and he would hit your thigh. As he was coming around the pick, he'd get down low. So he's hitting these big guys. They're sticking their legs out to try and slow him down, but he's nailing them in the back of the knee with his elbow or in the thigh and their hamstring with his shoulder. And he's not getting called for a foul because they're trying to pick him. And he's taking the contact and he's laying into him like a Derrick Henry in football, And oh man, he was awesome. He was. Remember that team, his high school team, had the high school player of the year, Reggie Williams, on it. 5 of the players on that team ended up number 1 draft picks in the NBA. But Muggsy was voted team MVP.
Well, just to bring it back, I want you to finish your statement, but that's where there's got to be some sort of commonality to why that entire team was so great. And I'm sure it had to do with the coaching. I'm sure it had to do with the community or the school, however you want to look at it. But just as a sidebar, is that like Muggsy Bogues didn't get there himself, and that's so evident with an entire team being that strong.
To that point, I've always said that's the difference between Jordan and LeBron. You can talk about on the court differences. You can talk about character differences, personality differences, stuff like that. But the real difference between Jordan and LeBron is Jordan always had the best coaching. His parents steered him. He didn't want to go to North Carolina. He wanted to go to NC State. He was a huge David Thompson fan. He wanted to make his college decision based on the school and past heroes. His parents were like, no. They did not like Jim Valvano. They were like, no. Dean Smith is the greatest teacher in basketball, in college basketball. You're going to North Carolina. and you're playing for Dean Smith. Dean Smith had Hall of Fame coaches as his assistants. Okay?
Yeah.
Williams, Eddie Fogler, these guys were his assistants. And, Roy Williams is the one that actually recruited Jordan, the one that actually went and saw Jordan play at Laney. It was Williams that was recruiting him. This is before AAU days, when coaches actually had to travel the country to see the players play. And he had a great high school coach with Coach Herring. Then he goes to North Carolina, gets the absolute best coaching. Then during the summers, they have the famous summer runs where all the old Carolina guys come back and play. So during the summer, he's playing against Walter Davis. And you got all the guys, like Larry Brown, Billy Cunningham, George Carl. These guys were all Americans at North Carolina. You got defensive players like Bobby Jones that are coming back to North Carolina, Bob McAdoo, that he's getting to talk to, play with, learn from. Then he goes to the Olympics and he's playing for Bob Knight. And then you got coaches like George Raveling as assistant coaches. And you're getting constant great coaching at every step of the way with Jordan. He was so smart, and his family was so smart to say your loyalty is to the coaches. They're going to teach you what you need to do.
I don't think it's fair. Now, granted, I don't know his name, and I think it's a fair counter argument. But to say that LeBron James, being coached as a kid, didn't have some level of, at the very least, exceptional mentorship on how to be a great basketball player, I think is unfair for the people that guided him there. You know what I mean? I'm not saying his high school coach was Dean Smith, but to say that his coach and the mentors that brought him up to get into the NBA, they had to be exceptional people at the very least. I don't want to say particularly great basketball minds, but they had to at least mentor him to do the right things, and because he has, more or less, he's been fairly squeaky clean with his image. Still playing 23 years later. He's had to have some mentorship to get to that. You know what I mean? That doesn't just happen automatically.
I'm not talking about mentorship. I'm talking about teaching. Yeah, when has LeBron ever been successful without being the number one guy? He's been the number one guy on his team at every stop since he was 15 years old. He's only ever played that role. Yeah, look at Jordan. Anytime Jordan gets on any type of all-star team, look at the Olympics, look at the Dream Team. Jordan was 100% content with being a team player. He didn't lead the Dream Team in scoring, steals, assists, rebounds, blocks, nothing. He contributed. He played a supporting role, a complementary role, because that's Jordan's personality in real life. Now, on his team in the NBA, he never got that opportunity. He played that way in college. He was not the main man until Worthy and Perkins left.
No, I'm with you. I think we're talking about two separate things, or in ways. But I think what I'm saying is that even though LeBron didn't have that coaching or the teachers to teach him how to be, if you want to call it, a great basketball player, I think he ultimately has to be recognized as that. But as great as he could have been in respect to having world-class or all-time coaching, I agree. It could be better. I'm just saying that it takes a village, and people like to say, well, LeBron, his mother was terrible, he lived with his coach, et cetera, et cetera. the aspect of it is that him doing all of this and getting to the place that he's at, and then ultimately in the beginning of his career getting to the NBA and having that world-class coaching, is that he had to have great mentors along the way to get there in the first place. Again, it's not to say that his coach was the best coach ever, but you have to be a decent coach to be able to win all the high school championships that he did, and then also go on to be capable of playing in the NBA. But I agree, it's different. I'm not saying he's not LeBron James in respect to Michael Jordan was not taught how to be a great basketball player as much, but I think he had the mentorship, which I think is a part of being taught in ways. It's just not coaching, it's being led to do the right things.
Well, I still think the biggest mistake he ever made was going to Miami instead of San Antonio. I believe the overall impression of LeBron would be completely different if he had went to San Antonio.
I wanted him to, because being a Tim Duncan San Antonio fan, I thought, but let's be, hindsight's 2020. The Spurs really didn't need him at the time. But if they had him, oh my God, what would have LeBron become if he was
exactly?
Yeah.
He would have become a better player under Pop, because everyone does. That's one of the things in the world that, one of the automatics in the world. He would have become a better player, better team player. He would have learned to play off the ball a bit more. He wouldn't have to be in his hands all the time. He would be, it's just what you learn when you're around all of that. And people today say, oh, but he played for Spoelstra. Spoelstra was a new coach when LeBron went there. He's not the Spoelstra of now. He was a new coach. He was an unproven coach.
And he's not Pat Riley either, which I understand why he wanted to go there in the first place.
There was a little something about that I was told by someone inside way back when I was living in San Antonio, that LeBron, it was implied, inferred, or he mistook or misguidingly hoped, whatever term you want to use, that if he went to Miami, then Riley was going to come out of the office and coach the team the way he did when Shaq came to Miami. Remember, he was not the coach then until the playoff run. Stan Van Gundy was the coach. Then they made, or he, however you want to put it, Van Gundy stepped down, whatever behind-the-scenes drama you want to claim happened, and Riley took over and coached them to a championship. LeBron was, however you want to put it, to some point believing that if he and Bosh both went to Miami and they got this big three, this juggernaut of a team, that he would be getting coached by Riley. And it didn't happen. And that's why when his contract was up, he jumped ship and went right back to Cleveland.
No.
If he would have went to San Antonio, he would have been coached by Pop. He would have played with other fantastic all-time great players who were all not alpha players. You had Hall of Famers coming off the bench. You learn a different style of play. You learn to see the game in a different way. It only makes you smarter, better, greater. The one thing LeBron said, I don't like LeBron for one reason only. It's the quote I've heard him say 3 or 4 times, that I always make the right play.
Yeah.
that is so low key, throwing all your teammates under the bus.
Yeah.
Well, you lost. Why'd you lose? Why'd you do this? Well, I always make the right play. You're saying, okay, yet your teammates didn't. And that's a passive aggressive move that I know from experience does not go over well in locker rooms. That does not make friends.
Yeah.
You know, comments like that.
No, absolutely.
You know, and it's just and like I said, it's, you know, it's, he's one of the greatest ever, obviously.
Yeah, I think, you know, to switch the mentoring, I think that I think it was his friends at that point, the Rich Rich Paul, I think his name is Rich.
Yeah.
Anyway, that just completely escaped my mind. But the aspect of it is that I think that he was already so far within the NBA, and he's got friends, not real experienced people at the time. At this point, they're experienced, and I'm not saying that it's, in hindsight, I believe it was the wrong choice, but I think he was given advice at the time to say, hey, keep your image. If you go to the Spurs, you're going to have to live under the shadow of Tim Duncan and I see T Perfect in here. T Perfect, I told you, I told everyone at the beginning of this, I commandeered the channel because you haven't put out a video in 2 months. I've been on camping trips. Anyway, you're welcome to call in. I put the call in drop down. But I think LeBron didn't want to live under the shadow of Tim Duncan and Greg Popovich.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the whole problem.
Yeah.
But once again, that's just one thing. But when it comes to greatness, some players make it because of their athletic ability. It's just so insane that, like, I at one point, all right, I started off as a high jumper. Okay, I could jump really high. I could dunk when I was like 5'7". A volleyball. I couldn't palm a basketball at that time. I was like 15. I was a high jumper. And I'm just learning. I'm playing every chance I get. I'm in a church league. I'm in a kids league. I'm on a school team. And I'm just playing all the time. Playing at different rec centers, different courts. And I'm told in my league, I'm hesitant to take shots because my best friends were on the team, and I was always, let them shoot the shots. I'm happy to, and I'm just trying to learn. I'm watching and everything. It's my first year playing organized basketball, and the coach tells me, "Look, if you can get open, shoot it." And I'm like, "Okay." And I'm not doing it. I'm hesitant because I don't understand exactly what he means by open. Because I'm a little guy, a guard, but I can literally jump over everybody in the gym. I can get an open shot off anytime. So he says, if you can get open, shoot it. So like the next 5 times down court, I shoot. And he calls timeout. And he's like, okay, well, now you're going too far. Now you're gunning it. And I'm like, well, you said anytime I can get open, shoot it. Well, I can get open every play. And then his response was, but that doesn't help your teammates. And that always stuck with me. I can shoot every shot, and I was making most of them, but I'm not helping my teammates any. And that's when I started trying to understand. And that's when I later reading Bill Russell, one of Bill Russell's books, where he mentions just mathematically speaking, there's 5 guys on the court on your team. There's 1 ball. Mathematically, you've got the ball in your hand about 20% of the time. What are you doing the other 80% is what determines the winner of the game. And I put those two things together. I can shoot every shot. I mean, I'm playing it's a kids league, you know. None of the kids can jump like I can. I can be double teamed, and all I have to do is jump straight up as high as I can. They can't block my shot. I'm open, you know. But that doesn't help my teammates any. They don't get any better. They don't get to play. They don't get the ball in their hand. They don't get to make plays in front of their parents. It doesn't help. You're not making a team.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's where it came with me. And I just found that I enjoyed playing much more passing the ball. I got much more excited out of passing it than I did out of scoring.
Yeah. I like to, when I play, I think the most enjoyment I get, now granted I don't play serious basketball, the most enjoyment I get is when I outrun people on fast breaks, or I get to play defense because I'm running to get back on defense on the defensive transition. That's what I get the most enjoyment at, being near 40 years old, is that I'm outrunning these guys. Now, again, like I said, it's not serious basketball. It's pickup basketball. Half people are there just to get some shots up only, not even run.
Yeah.
So, but for me, that's what I enjoy is just, again, without attaching skill to it, it's just hustling. I like to score. I mean, it's fun. I got a decent hook shot on the low block and going off of the right side or going in the middle. I got a decent hook shot where I can make it fairly okay for a casual. But yeah, what I enjoy the most is outrunning people half my age. That's what I enjoy the most for me being a casual basketball player.
But in reference to what makes a great player, it all depends on, you know, your ability level and what role you can fulfill on a team. Some players make it off pure hustle, like you just mentioned. Some players are just so naturally talented that they almost can't not succeed, you know? And then you have some that are just, they understand the game and they know how to maneuver, you know, on the court to be in the right place at the right time, to where every coach, what I found out, what I started to say earlier, talking to a bunch of different coaches, great high school coaches, college coaches, one or two pro coaches, former pro coaches. The thing I notice is what they look for in every player, regardless of what role you're going to perform for the team, is they're looking for players that can make plays. And a lot of people don't understand what that means. Making a play, you know, remember one time there was a guy up in Boston that before he became a superstar, before he became an all-star, guy's on a bench. He's coming off the bench as a sixth man, gets a steal that wins a championship. Famous call, you know, Havlicek stole the ball. Havlicek wasn't Havlicek yet. But he was drafted, and he was on that team, and he had an NFL tryout, by the way, because the thing that they noticed about him was that he made plays. When teams are going head to head and the intensity is high and they're matched up and everyone on the court is canceling out their counterpart. So it's a really tough, knotted game, and every little thing counts. You know, if you're not going 100%, if you drop down to 98, you lose. It's literally a razor's edge. everyone's plays are canceling each other's out. It's the guy that can, in that moment, make a play, no matter what it is. Get a basket. They're not looking to him for a basket, but he gets it. He gets the steal. He gets a defensive stop.
No.
He disrupts a passing lane, and the passer can't hit the open cutter. He doesn't make the pass. You don't see that in the stats. That's one thing I used to be pretty good at, is I would sit back behind my man watching the passing lanes. Guy would cut open on the baseline, get away from his man. I see the guard is about to throw the pass, and I jump into the passing lane. So he doesn't make that pass. Now, nothing happens, right? He ends up passing somewhere else. The play continues. Something else happens. But me doing that stopped an easy 2 points. Most fans don't even notice it. Coaches do. Especially the other coach. He's livid because his guy missed the backdoor cutter. At the next timeout, next break, he's like, he was wide open. And then the point guard says, didn't you see number 5 jumped in the passing lane? He saw it coming. I couldn't throw it.
Yeah.
That's making a play. I stopped at 2 points. 3 minutes later, we win. That 2 points at that point, especially a gimme layup, changes the complexion of the game.
Yeah.
And alters strategy. And then you don't know how it ends up after that. But players that can make plays are the ones that coaches want. A real coach does not want 16 Michael Jordans on his roster. There's no way to coach that.
Yeah.
They don't want 16 Kareems. They don't want 16 LeBrons. Okay? It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and that's what people want to be the Michael Jordan of the team. And it's like, I don't know. A lot of people, again, and we talked about this, it's a very, in ways, it's a very individualistic sport at the core of it, is because you're doing all the skills that anyone else on the court can do. You just play a role in it, but you all follow the same rules as a player versus a majority of other sports that are out there. And that might be an factual statement. I'm pretty sure that it is. Generally, in other sports, there's a goalie that has different rules, or if it's football, you got a quarterback that has different
quarterbacks,
rules.
Kickers, punters.
Exactly. So
in baseball, you got DHs, pitchers. They're all different. Basketball is the only sport where all 5 guys have to do every skill to some extent.
Yeah, and and people want to be the Michael Jordan because they think that's, and I don't know where this came from. I don't know if it's a natural thing or if it's an NBA thing where everyone feels like they have to be the star. And I mean, I feel that way again in my pickup games sometimes, to say I got to take over.
I know exactly why.
Why?
It's 3 letters. AAU.
Yeah, I never played AAU, but I don't disagree that organization has a lot to do with the larger picture of it.
Yeah, they've started for 40 years. They've been preaching individual skill set and showing off your individual skill set over what your team is doing, winning or losing. That's the problem. And actually, it was Luka was just speaking about it. I think during the off season was the interview. He was talking about it. It's like that's why foreign players are starting to dominate the league, because foreign players are taught they're brought up the same way they are in soccer. Every pro basketball team in Europe has junior teams. When they recognize your talent when you're 14, 15 years old, they sign you. And you go to school And then you go to their academies where you're coached by top coaches and you're brought up on a process to go with your growth, different levels, of teaching for your different age as you're growing up, different maturity, so that you're getting your potential is getting maximized at every step. And now it's gotten to the point, because we have the AAU system, which is do it yourself. It's we're going to teach you how to spend 8 hours in the gym working on your own personal game, and no time teaching you how to play with others. While they're spending all day playing with others, and then on their own time working with the coach on their personal things. And so when they get to the NBA, you see all these foreign players that start off as bench warmers, like Giannis, Jokic. These guys, come over as complementary players and then mature into MVPs, because that is how their training is done in Europe. It's not how it's done here. Everyone wants to be a star. I used to have a plaque when I was a coach. I used to have a plaque that said, it doesn't matter who's best in the world when you're 12. It's who's best in the world when you're 25, because then you get paid. Greatest 12-year-old basketball player in the world gets nothing. There's nothing. It doesn't matter. No one's going to sit there and ask for your autograph when you're 60, going, wow, I remember you. You were the best player in the country when you were 12. No one cares. You're a has-been. No one cares. You're the best player in the world at 25. Everyone knows you. You're rich. You're famous. You have generational wealth. You're providing for your family for generations. You're a success. That's when it matters. Aim to be great then. It's all a building process to then. That's how Europe teaches their players. That's not how the U.S. teaches ours. We glorify. I was just watching a YouTube video of some kid that's the son of a pro player. And he's the number 6th ranked player in the class of 2030. And I'm like, what the hell are they doing ranking like 5th graders?
Yeah.
What the hell kind of garbage is that?
Yeah, I saw a video about a 7th grader. Yeah. Yeah. No, it like to go down that line. That is something that I don't like about the AAU culture. And I'm going to even take it to another level, because I also like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So it kind of is in the same light, except being less physical, as like a wrestling dad. Like there's nothing wrong with wrestling, but I remember I went to a wrestling meet when my brother was 6 years old. He got double-legged and dropped on his head as a 6-year-old, and people were cheering that he got dropped on his head as a 6-year-old. It's like, dude, you got to chill out with this. Like they're children. But to your point with the I saw a 7th grader who looked like a man, but he was ranked number whatever in the league, and I'm sure it might have been the same video or a separate video. Either way, if you're a 5th grader or a 7th grader, why are you being ranked nationally? I don't even think there's a large enough sample size for that. You know what I mean?
They make it. That's the whole point. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. In Europe, if you're the best 7th grader, then they got you practicing with the 11th graders.
Yeah.
And that's your reward, is you get to play with the older kids and learn more. And then when you're a 17-year-old, then you get to play with the big team on practice days. That's how Luka moved up. And they don't glorify at each stage. It's all a process till you get up to the big league. We glorify every step, and it limits potential. People can still end up being great players, obviously, but it limits your potential because it limits your purview. It limits your focus of the sport. you're put as the guy as a preteen or a teen. Like I said with LeBron, they never sit there and say, you know what, you're really freaking great. We need to get you on a better team. We need to get you playing with better players so you can understand the game better and see it from a different perspective instead of constantly every time you go on the court being the guy.
Yeah.
We need to get you with other players so when you walk on the court, you're looking over at your teammate going, he's the guy.
Yeah.
And I'm in a helping complementary position on this particular team. See, I played in a men's league. I was underage. They let me in because it was my 18th birthday was in the middle of the season. So I'm a bench warmer on that team. I'm a bench warmer on the high school team. I'm a starter in my last year in the kids league team. And then I'm in a church league that's just men and boys all together, around town, like 6 or 8 churches in the league, and then you have open play where if I got to a court and I saw a bunch of other teenagers out there playing, I didn't play. I went around looking for all the 30 and 40-year-olds because I'm learning something from them.
Yeah.
And, it's just you need to play. Just sitting in a gym for 5 hours working on your 3-point shot is ridiculous. You're much better off working on your shot for an hour and playing. What we always had is I'd be the first one at the court. Then someone else would come up. Then we're playing one-on-one. Then a third person would come up. We're playing 21. Then another person. Now we're playing 2-on-2. Then we go 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 5-on-5. We run 5s until it starts getting dark. People start leaving. Then you're at 4-on-4. Then you break down the half court and go 3-on-3s, 2-on-2s, back to 21. Maybe 1 or 2 games of 1-on-1 at the end of the night when everyone's tired and dirty and sweaty. And then after the last person besides me leaves, then I'd shoot 100 free throws. Tired in the dark. And then I'd run home. Now, in some of those games, I'm the main guy because it's 1-on-1 or 21. You're playing for yourself. Then you get to 2-on-2. You're doing simple passes, cuts, pick and rolls, stuff like that. You're doing that exclusively. You're learning that. Then you get to 3-on-3s where now you got the weak side pass incorporated into it. Then you go 4-on-4. Now you're going full court, but it's a wide open fast break game because it's only 4s. So you're getting your wind work in. Your wind sprints, you're getting your fast break layups, guys chasing you down, you're dribbling on the run, change direction, all of that, getting in passing lanes. Then you get 5-on-5, but now the big guys are up there. So now you're purely a complimentary player. You're lucky if you touch the ball 3 times. So you got to figure out where you're going to make your impact. Then as people start leaving, you do that exact same thing in reverse. And I learned much more about basketball doing that than these guys that just sit in the gym individually working on their handles in their 3s. You're not learning the game.
Yeah, I think it's widely a bunch of BS too.
You know what I put it to? You know what I equate it to? Golf.
Yeah.
You can sit there and go to your local golf courses when they have tournaments and you see the guys that are winning. Then you can go to the driving range and you'll see guys at the driving range just lacing it 350 yards down the middle. Because all they do is go to the driving range and just, pull out the big dog and just start, slamming it down there, and impressing people with how far they can drive. You say, were you in the tournament last week? Oh, no. I finished like 54th or something like that. It's because he spends all his time on just working on that shot. He doesn't learn how to play golf, which is learning how to play the course. In golf, you play the course. You don't play other players. You're not competing against them. You compete against the course. You can sit there and sit at the driving range and the putting green all day long, every day, and you can impress people with your individual just smacking it. Yeah, I can hit a driver. I can hit a 3-wood. Watch me with this wedge, drop it in the trash can. You can do all that. Okay, well, can you play the course, though? Can you play the game? That's what I equate it to. Learn to play the game.
Yeah, and I again, like I don't want to pretend like I'm some great basketball player, but it kills me when I see these guys and they have, especially guards, because I play a pivot position, I play a post position, however you want to put it. So for me, when I see a guard just walk up, or however you want to say, run up, and their main focus is to score, I immediately dislike them, because if I'm wide open, give it to me for the 2-foot layup where I'm at when I'm wide open. But they don't typically.
I disagree in one aspect only. If you're talking it's game 3 with this guy, and that's just what's going on, no matter what you do, no matter what impact you're making, he's just doing that, then I'm with you.
Yeah.
But my initial thought, if you know that he's coming down court with a load of steam and he believes that the guy cannot cover him and he's taking it in, I would go out there and set a pick for him. I'd set a screen, free him up, then roll to the basket, give him someone to pass to, let him attack. But involve yourself in that play rather than sit back and complain about him not purposely looking for you.
No. I'm okay. I got you. I'm talking fast break. So if you're a guard and it's a 2-on-1 situation and you're trying to just put it up, or let's say it's a 3-on-2 situation, and I got my man beat. That's what I'm talking about, kind of stuff where it's like I'm the obvious option. But I got you, and I always try to be a team player. But if I'm going on the break and I know I got this guy beat and you're not looking for me, like that's, again, being a casual
but you also
player.
you see you would have hated me.
Yeah.
You would have hated me, because that's exactly how I'd play on the playground. I'd sit there and, like, if I had someone like you on my team, I got someone 6'4", 6'5", a strong bull, can get inside. No one out here on this court is going to be able to match this guy 1-on-1 down low.
Yeah.
I'm not going to you right off the bat. I will not, because I'm holding you as the ace in the hole.
Yeah.
I'll push it. I'll tire them out. We'll run and gun it for the first half of the game. If we can get a lead and keep it, fantastic. We fall behind, then we start looking at something different. But I'm getting out there. I'm running. I'm tiring the other team. And if it comes down to a close game, we're playing 16 win by 2. It's 13-11, 13-12. That's when I go to you and say, post up. We're finishing the game down low with you. And every time down court, I'm going to you to finish off that game.
Yeah.
I've made the other team tired. I've got them worn. I've got them frazzled. And I got them thinking that I'm all in it, that if they need to concentrate on me, on us perimeter players. I'm creating the spacing. Then when it gets down to game time, to crunch time, I'm going to the big man down low who will not be double teamed for your one-on-one moves to finish it off. And then we high five everybody. We go to the water fountain and we come back and we do it again.
I never go to the water fountain, Rex. But on a sidebar, no, I'm with you. I understand that perspective. I'm just saying, when you're losing, like, you know what I mean? Like, if that's where it's like, man, just give me the ball. And because I am a team player otherwise, I'm always doing picks. I'm always trying to do some quick cuts. I'm always trying to play off the ball effectively on offense. So it's frustrating when you come across a guy who just wants to check up a 3-point shot because he thinks he's a good 3-point shooter. But on the sidebar, something similar happened to that, just to, again, I don't know how interested people are hearing about me talking about my playground
Only got
story.
a couple more minutes.
Yeah. I think that's how everyone feels when I talk about this. But anyway. No, but we were losing. It was bad. I was playing with this kid who just was chucking up shots. And I was trying to, he gave me a smooth pick and roll at first. I'm trying to do picks for him. He's just chucking up shots, missing everything. It's fine, whatever. A lot of them were decent attempts. But he started giving me the ball, and I'm down on the post, and I hit the same shot on this guy 6 times, and this on just a hook shot off of the backboard. I do a lazy drop step and just hit it. Anyway, what I'm getting at is that this guy he starts dropping his shoulder into my chest, and I'm like, and I told him, I'm like, dude, it's a foul. Now, granted, where I was, like, I can't be that aggressive about this stuff. Plus, I'm almost 40, so it's kind of weird to act tough on a basketball court when you're 40. But it's like, I'm like, dude, that's a foul. You're hitting me. You're shouldering me in the chest. And he's like, oh, it's only a foul if you take the charge. He's like, I read it on Google. And I'm like, come on, man. I'm like, and he kept telling me how much of a boulder I was. That was the term he used. He's like, you're wide, you're a boulder, you're not moving. And I'm like, imagine if I didn't say this because I wasn't trying to start trouble, but imagine if I was actually being physical with you. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't even touching him on these drop steps. I would just roll around him, and I hit the same shot on him 6 or 7 times in a row. Anyway, I just find that stuff kind of funny on a sidebar. But what I was trying to roll off of you talking about having the ace in the hole, I try not to just be a black hole where I get the ball, if I ever get the ball, and then just shoot it. You know what I mean? I try to.
Why not? That's how the Lakers won 3 in a row in the 2000s.
Sure. I
people don't. That's the whole thing, though. If you have that advantage, you actually have to take advantage. You're helping your team if you take that advantage. If you become that black hole, like a Kevin McHale, that was his nickname. If you start scoring down there, like, it forces the defense to make adjustments.
Yeah.
Then once they make the adjustment, then you look for the open man and you involve the teammates and you get them better looks. That's a team ball. Yeah. Not all team ball means, oh, we're just going to keep passing. I'd rather, pass. Playing team ball, if your teammate makes a fantastic pick and gets you open, and then another teammate makes a fantastic no-look pass and puts it right on your fingertips, it is your job as a team player to then score it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's part of it's one of the skills. It's part of team play. You know, Sam Jones, his role on the Celtics was taking the last shot. That was his role. That's what he did. That was the role. Is okay, we're playing, we're passing around, we're doing this, we're doing that. Okay, this is our play. If we get down and it's a close game, we're up by 1, tied, down by 1, final shot's going to Sam. That's just that was his role on the team. It doesn't mean he was being a gun because he took all the final shots. It's because he proved himself over time to be the most consistent shooter in that situation. Yeah. So that was his role. It was predetermined. We have 3 different plays that involve Sam shooting the last shot. But just so everyone knows, if we get down to that one-shot finale, Sam's shooting it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I know you said you got to get going, but I guess just to revisit it, I think what makes a great basketball player is tenacity, the willingness to be a team player, and then the willingness to put yourself in that position to be a team player. In a phrase, what makes a great basketball player to you before we shut this down?
The ability to make a play.
Yeah.
You get guys that will score 20 a game, 10 rebounds a game. They double every game. But half the rebounds will be off missed free throws, when it's uncontested. Half of their points will be during trash time, during garbage time, at the end of a blowout. They're not really making an impact. But if you just look at their stats on paper, hey, they're a double-double machine. But they're not really impacting the team by making plays. Coaches want players that make plays. There are guys that are starters that play 37 minutes a game. They'll make 3 decisive plays a game. You got guys that come off the bench for 6 minutes that will make 3 decisive plays a game. That's where fans don't understand. They look at minutes played. They look at points per game. They look at rebounds. They look at, all that stuff. It's who makes plays is what coaches want. Guys that'll make plays.
Yeah. Well, Rex, happy belated Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Same.
And for everyone that's been watching, learn the game. Don't get an F for effort. Get an A for effort. Try to do better. If you appreciate these kinds of podcasts that we're doing right here, take some time. And Rex, I know you've said this. Take some time into the team that you care about, your hometown team. Learn a little bit more about them. And if you want to learn more about the game itself, do that as well. Pick up a basketball, touch some grass if you appreciate the game. I try to do it as much as possible. I'm trying to make it a thing where I do it every day. My work it's pretty hefty, but I've been doing it lately. I played 3 times this week. Monday through Wednesday, or no, Monday and Tuesday. I played Monday and Tuesday, and I played Friday, so I'm lying already. But anyway, I've been playing a lot lately, and I'm trying to keep it a thing. Rex, you got any last words for the people?
Academy Sports has basketballs on Black Friday sale. Go get one, go play. Don't sit around watching highlights, YouTubes of whoever. Don't sit on your boat watching movies you've seen 6 times. Go down there, grab a ball 50% off, go out to the court and play.
No. Absolutely. And learn the game. Have a great weekend, everybody. Rex, let's try to do this tomorrow if you're available. Are you available tomorrow?
I should be. We'll have to text later. I got to get out the door. Got to get my wife to work.
Okay. I will text you later. Have a good day, sir. Have a good day, everybody.